To the parents of these children, these pictures mean everything. They embrace the life, the personality of children facing life-threatening conditions. For grieving parents, the photos provide comfort.
Lynette Johnson, who photographed Bill and Melinda Gates' wedding and took pictures of me and my son Britton, she donates her time and talent to capture lasting images of children facing terminal illnesses. And
look at that shot.
That's my favorite photo of me with Britton when he was just 6 months old that Lynette took, and I have that almost in every room in my house. It means everything to me. Alice Adams received this gift from Lynette when her son Josiah was sick, and I really appreciate you being here today to talk about this. Tell me about Josiah. What was going wrong?
He was allowed to go 2.5 weeks overdue, and labor wasn't going well, and after an epidural was given, his heart rate plummeted, and instead of getting him out right away, he was deprived of oxygen for a very, very long period of time. And so when you see the pictures that Lynette took, you see what a big, beautiful baby he is. But unfortunately, because of what happened, his brain was very damaged, and he was not able to be a normal little baby.
So you asked Lynette to photograph him before he died. Why?
The nurses at Children's Hospital, the palliative care nurses, asked us if we would like to have some pictures taken before we went home with him. We wanted to take him home. And we were a little overwhelmed by it, and so we didn't actually know. We thought, yeah, sure, that would be great, but we're just overwhelmed by the situation. And what was wonderful is that Michelle Frost at Children's just said, well, I'll call the photographer, and Lynette was there 2 hours later.
Let's put some of the pictures up on the full screen again,
sure,
if we can. And Lynette, tell me what you go through photographing children in these situations, like Josiah. When you see it, you see...
I mean, you're already tearing up, Lynette, as we're talking.
I can imagine what you're feeling, because you put your heart and soul into all of your work. So describe that moment.
Well, in that moment, I try to stay as in the moment as I can, because you can see that Josiah is really a beautiful baby, and meeting this really lovely couple, that I try to stay in that moment. And I try to stay focused on the joy of parenthood and enjoy the child right then. It's not as emotional right in that moment about the loss, because I want to be living in that time. You know, Josiah was there with us, and it was really great to have, for me to get to share time with him. So I'm not as emotional right at that moment as I am
You just leave?
later.
You leave and you break down when you've probably developed a film, and you go home, and what do you go through?
Well, I always call my friend Sydney on the way home, or one of my daughters.
I see one of your daughters there.
And we just try to talk. They've told me at the palliative care unit that it's really important to just talk and talk about it some more. But I have really decided that the little nick it takes out of me to do it, even though friends get worried about it sometimes, is so small compared to what it is for the parents, that I'm fine, really. It's more emotional talking about it.
Yeah.
What's it do for you, Alice? I mean, looking at these pictures,
gosh,
I mean, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they really are. And we still have them up. It's been almost 14 months since Josiah died, and we still have them up.
Why? Do you think there's a day when you'll take them down?
You know, I don't know. He's always with us, no matter what, no matter if we're looking at him or not. It's just a wonderful, comforting reminder of him every single day.
Such a sense of peace about those pictures.
Yeah, yeah, he's a beautiful, serene child, and Lynette did a wonderful job of having us hold him, the three of us together, kissing him.
You look so happy in this moment, and I can't imagine being happy in this moment.
It was hard. It's not, there are a lot of pictures where I'm not looking as happy, but there are times where you can see him gripping
the
finger and making some fun little noises, making his little O mouth, I call it, where it's like a little angel cartoon singing, and that is especially precious.
It's so wonderful. I love that photo. Look at the fingers touching.
Yeah, he's beautiful. And
but Lynette, this started because of your sister-in-law?
And before that,
Tell me what happened in your own family.
Well, before that, my good friend Joan and I were expecting our firstborns at the same time, over 20 years ago now. And her son was born prematurely, and I wasn't able to be with her because I was in Port Townsend and she was in California. And I just remember how precious the photos she had were when she came home. And I think I learned a lot about her experience with grieving and how people were so unaccepting in so many ways of just being able to let a parent grieve. And
it's like it wasn't real, but your photos validated what she lost.
Well, they were her photos. I didn't take those. But then my niece died in utero a number of years ago, and I was called to the hospital to take a few photos of baby Lainey. And baby Lainey had passed away in utero. So those photos were especially hard because we were all so looking forward to the birth of that niece. My nieces would have been the same age apart as my daughters. And so after that experience and how hard it was, but to have a little record for them to keep personally was good. I knew that if I could do it for baby Lainey, that I could do it for anybody.
And you've done it for so many people.
Well, I do it for a number of people. I don't honestly just, I'm not capable of doing it just really regularly.
You know what, we need to pause for a moment. I want to take a break. I want you to see some of the other photographs that Lynette's taken when we come back, because they're just so beautiful. And I want you to see the life in these children. And there is such a neat twist with your story and with Lynette and a photograph. And you're going to be smiling by the end of the show, I promise. More in just a moment.
You are looking at Brandon, one of Lynette Johnson's pictures. Tell us the story of Brandon.
I met Brandon on March 10th. My daughter and I flew to Edmonton, Alberta to meet Brandon. Brandon is living with a condition called Leigh syndrome, and his aunt in Vancouver read an article about me in a national publication and asked if I would come. So we went, Lulu and I went to Edmonton to be with him.
Lulu, your daughter?
Yes, to celebrate his first birthday.
How's Brandon doing?
I think Leigh syndrome children it's always a fatal disease, and he's fed through a feeding tube. But that day, he's home with his family when he's well, and that's really great.
And I want to show some of the other pictures quickly, too.
Okay.
The picture of Emily. Tell me about Emily.
Emily was born with leukemia. She had leukemia, obviously, in utero, and they discovered, minutes after she was born that something was wrong. And she is 15 months old, and they also heard about me through a publication and a cousin called, and Emily's been to visit me a number of times. Yeah.
Oh, look at that life. Joey?
How about Joey?
Oh, Joey, he was my first sort of client-like, came to me through my work. And Joey died 10 years ago of Tay-Sachs disease, which is a genetic disorder, and it's also always fatal. And we like to call, in our family, we like to call Joey the angel baby, because he was especially beautiful child.
Can we bring another angel baby up here? I want you to meet Henry. Yeah, you just bring us Henry. And tell us.
Alice, tell us a little about
Henry.
Oh, Henry was born 11 days ago. And
who took the pictures of Henry's birth?
Lynette came to the hospital We had him scheduled a few weeks early because his lungs were ready, and we just couldn't wait to meet him.
And I know you lost Josiah 14 months ago, but Henry is healthy.
Fine.
Healthy and loud, normal, I mean, usually very loud. And just a real joy to be with. We just are so thankful and feel very blessed to have him with us, and feel very blessed to have had Lynette come to the hospital with us to take pictures of his entrance into the world.
Thank you so much. And Henry, good to see you. Sorry you're not awake. We'll be right back.
To learn more about People Helper or to make a donation, go to comotv.com.